I've been up this morning crying and thinking and just very disappointed in my biological bloodline family. If you've watched any of the videos, I don't have a big relationship with a lot of my family members. It's just been a mess. And this morning I have been just absolutely sick to my stomach, and I've been crying, and I'm just mad as hell because my daughter went to see my mom yesterday, which is awesome, and they had a good visit, and I wish they could do more and more and more of that. But my mom has been going through a hard time. My mom has had a hard fucking life, and that is just the truth. And one of the reasons we don't have a better relationship is because of the hard life she's had. It's caused her to miss making some connections with me in the life I've had. I've missed connections with her, and we try and we're friendly, but it just doesn't work out. It's just not a mom-daughter situation. But you know what? She is a person, and she's a beautiful person. And she's a sweet person, and she will do just about anything she can for you. Now, she's been fighting cancer like the last 2 years. She's literally been fighting for her life. I have other stories about her childhood. She grew up really, really rough, and she grew up with a really stupid husband, and the kids have just gone all haywire, and it's just all been a mess, and that's all fallen on one person's shoulders. And I know, and I cry about that, and I have a burden about that, because I wish that I had more of a give-a-damn to be able to help her or save her, and I can't, because I have been there, and I have done that, and I've tried, and it can't be done, because we're all so messed up that we just lose ourselves in each other's stuff. And anyway, my daughter goes to see my mom last night, and she comes home, and she is just like feeling so bad for my mother. We come from a family that turns on each other and belittles each other and damages each other and tries to outdo each other and tries to put down each other and tries to put hardships on each other. And my grandmother, from the time my mom and her sister were little bitty girls, my grandmother has pitted my mom and her sister against each other. She'll make the mom a favorite, and she'll say stuff about the other one. She'll make the sister a favorite and say stuff about my mom. And she's done this since they were little bitty girls. They've never had their own identity. They've always had to dress alike, got the same Christmas present, got the same birthday present. If it was my mom's birthday, my aunt got a present too. If my aunt got something, my mom got it too. There was no identity separation, and there was no individualism, and that has caused a lot of problems. And now my mom and my aunt just do not speak. They don't have anything to do with each other. And I know my aunt says this is some of the reasons, which I don't talk to her much either, so the answers I got are 10 years old. And my mom, she has her reasons. But you know what it comes down to? It comes down to their mother being mentally ill, raising them. She was an alcoholic, and she had drug problems, and she pitted those girls against each other, and she made them enemies. She made them enemies. And here's what is going on right now. My mother is the oldest, and she's supposed to have the power of attorney over my grandmother. My grandfather died several years ago. My mother has done nothing but help my grandmother. Put air conditionings in her home, has paid all the utilities and the insurances on her homes, has bought refrigerations, replaced washers and dryers, bought food, bought her beer if she couldn't get out of town to get her beer because my grandmother's a freaking alcoholic. My mother has been there and done everything she could. Everything she could. When they said that my grandmother could no longer live alone, my mother moved into that house knowing that she would be living back in the same house with the same woman that abused her as a child, under the same roof and by the same woman. And you know what? My mother's 60-something years old, and it happened again. She still gets abused. My grandmother's 97 years old, and she's in a nursing home, and she's barely fucking alive. And you know what? I'm ready for them to make the phone call and say it's over, because she's got so much shit stirred up. And I'm sorry that I feel this way about my grandmother, and I'm sorry if none of you will ever turn and look at another video that I've made. This isn't all that I'm about, but this is a big part of the problem of what the fuck is going on with this family. My mother is the oldest. My mother was given the family home, when my grandfather died years ago. My grandmother only will play favorites. You're my favorite today, so I give you this. You're my favorite today, so I give you this. You're my favorite today, so I give you this. My grandmother, how sad is it that she has to give her things away and try to promise people things to try to have relationships. But she's caused that, and I swear to God, I'm going to do 1,000 videos, and over time, if you'll bear with me, you'll get the whole story, and you too might say, wow. But anyway, my mom is living in a house. My mother was given the house. Then my grandmother went psycho, and she hooked up with my aunt again. And now my aunt and my grandmother are like all against my mom. And my mom's fighting for cancer and fighting for her life. And when my mother left that home, like she had went in to help my grandmother, and then she had to leave because my grandmother physically assaulted her. And my mom was very ill with cancer, dying of cancer, okay? And was attacked by her own mother. My mother was on a walker, and my grandmother says, I will take that walker out from underneath you, and I will beat you with it right here in the hallway. You know, abusive, just like she's always been. And my mother, when she left that house, had to leave a lot of things behind. And my aunt and my grandmother and some other family member that I don't even know, because they never had anything to do with us either, have all gone into the house now, and it's been months. My mother has tried to get back down there to get her things, but every time she shows up on the property, the police are called because they've got people watching, you know. So she said, I'm not going to be a part of it. They can keep watching. They're not ever going to see my truck around there, so that if anything happens, I'm not involved. So she left her stuff there. Well, I just found out, and I'm so fucking pissed, that my aunt and my grandmother, they decided to have this huge garage sale, and they went in and they pulled everything out of the house because they know that my grandmother's probably never going to go back home. The house has been given to my mom. My aunt does not want my mom to have the house. They went in, they pulled everything out of the house, everything my mom had left, everything. They trashed it, they burned it, or they sold it for a couple of bucks. And that's family Bibles, that's furniture that has been custom made for family for 300 years ago. And they did it all out of spite. Every single bit of it was done out of a spite. We will get rid of her things. We will tear the house up to where she has nowhere to come. We will do this and we will do that. And you know what? It sucks because my mom hasn't done a goddamn thing to deserve this. My mom hasn't done nothing but try to help out. You know what? My aunt, she ain't nobody. She thinks she's somebody, but she's not. She's just as lost as the rest of us, and because of the way their mom screwed them up, they now have this relationship where they hate each other, and so the aunt's trying to get at her sister. You know? Why? Why are you doing this? Well, you've never been around. You've never been around. I don't even know anything hardly about you. You know what your mom put you guys through, and you ought to have your sister's back and be right there and saying, no, Mom, we're not going to do this. The two of you ought to come together and let the old bitch die off, and then y'all can sit down like two normal people and split the stuff up and do what needs to be done. But no, y'all went down there this weekend and sold and destroyed everything. The house is no longer livable now. And my mother doesn't have anything. So that means that it's over for her. And I'm so sad. And I can't help, because I've lived in this fucking screwed up family for so long that my mind is twisted tighter than pretzels. I can't think straight. Everything I do, I second guess it, because that's the way the family makes you guess. You can't tell anybody anything because they're going to twist it up and tell somebody else. You can't trust your family. They ran off all your friends. I'm in the same boat my mom was in. My mom was whipped down by her mom and is lonely and stays to herself. And now I'm doing the same thing, and I hate it. I hate every second of it. And I try to change it, and I don't know how to change it. I try to reach out. I try not to let it bother me. I try to blog about it. I pray about it. Been to therapy about it. I've tried to drink it away, and I've tried to smoke it away. And you know what? It ain't going away. And it makes me very sad. Because if people would have done what they were supposed to do, and if people would have had their shit together, then other people wouldn't be so fucked up. Because I know I have got so much potential, and I've got all these different things, and my mom does too, and neither one of us will ever reach our goals and be who we need to be. Because we've had too many years of bullshit to even know what normal looks like anymore. So I'm sad for my mom. I'm sad I can't help her, but I'm sad for my mom. And I'm sad that her own sister's doing this. Her sister, out of everybody, ought to know what the mom's doing. But you know what? The sister's thrilled because she can get her. She can get her. She can be one up on her sister. It's like a competition that their mom has put in place. And my mom won't fight for herself. And my aunt's thrilled to death to run over her. And my grandmother is crazy. She won't fucking die because God won't have her and the devil doesn't want to be overruled. It's horrible. And I'm ready for it to end. The best thing that could happen would be if she would die. I'm sorry. My grandmother needs to die. So we can get all this stuff split off, and everybody can just continue to ignore each other. Because right now we're not ignoring each other. We're picking fights, and we're stirring each other up. And I'm not even a part of it because I took my kids and I ran away from home a million years ago. But you know what? It still comes back. And